Wrapped Up, Zomboss, Mech Cadet U, GOTG, yeah, you know me, Thor Drops the Hammer, Snoopy, and more on the podcast.
Hey, and welcome to Daddy Mojo. It's the podcast where we'll talk about parenting, all-age comic books, toys, and more. Now, here's your host, Trey Burley.
It's Trey with Daddy Mojo. Thank you for checking out the podcast this week for the new all-age comic books for the week of October 11th, 2017. Your homework today, or this week, we're pretty loose on homework. If you would share this podcast with somebody, that would be super, and we would be indebted to you, because the goal here is to try to get more kids hooked on comic books, and to let more parents know that there are lots of cool options in the comic book genre for them outside of the superhero in tights, and outside of it being strictly a boys medium, because there's lots of cool stuff for boys and girls. We're going to go through all sorts of stuff today. First up, the music you hear today is from Sergei Cheremiznov. You can find all of Sergei's music over at Free Music Archive, and it's impossible to say his last name, Cheremiznov, without sounding like a cheap James Bond villain. I know my Russian friends could pronounce it much better than I could. Zomboss is back. This comic book is so popular, if you go to an elementary school library, it is off the chain. The graphic novels there, the spine to all of them is worn through, so if you ever want to do your elementary school library a favor, you could buy them any graphic novel from Plants vs. Zombies. Plants vs. Zombies, Volume 8, The Lawn of Doom. It's out this week, just in time for Halloween. And it's a Halloween-themed graphic novel. It's all original stuff, and what's going on is Zomboss and the zombie army want to turn the holiday, Halloween, into their own lawn contest. You know, it's that crazy contest. We have one in our neighborhood, too. Who can have the scariest yard or the most elaborate decorations? And Zomboss, being an evil villain, he has some things up his sleeves. Also in this graphic novel are all of your Plants vs. Zombies favorites. You got Crazy Dave, Patrice, Nate, and a whole bunch of plants. Whole bunch of zombies. Great fun. By the title, if you're not hip to Plants vs. Zombies, you may think it sounds adult. It's not. It's good, silly fun that from 7 years old, our oldest son really liked Plants vs. Zombies, and when he read it as a 7-year-old, he felt like a cool kid, because this is a graphic novel and a comic book when it was a monthly comic book. But in this incarnation, it's a graphic novel that the older kids read too. So the 7-year-olds or even the 8-year-olds read it, and they think it's cool because the older kids who are 12-year-old, they're reading it too. That's how cool this is, and I read it too. There's my truth teller moment. It's Plants vs. Zombies, Volume 8, Lawn of Doom. It's a brand new graphic novel from Dark Horse. It's out this week, and bonus, it only costs $10. If you go through the links, it costs you $9. Now, Halloween Comic Fest is coming up the last Saturday of October. It's October 28th. And this is going to be one of the mini-comics, M-I-N-I, the mini-comics, that you can pick up for free. It's going to be a chapter of it. But this week has the full comic out, and it's Wrapped Up. Wrapped Up is your typical teenage kid with mummy parents. Teen vampires are his friends, and other monsters are his hangout buddies. Who's going to like this? This is going to be akin to Adventure Time, but not as silly, not nearly as many possibly adult jokes, and just good kind of, I'll call it demoed down Adventure Time fun. So if you're a parent and you've gotten your kids to maybe watch Adventure Time and you kind of backed off because you didn't like how manic the pace was, check out Wrapped Up, and you can get a free sample of it for Halloween Comic Fest, which is the last Saturday of October 28th. If you can't wait and you know you want to get it, the first issue of the comic book is on sale this week for $3.99 from Lion Forge Comics. Similar to Plants vs. Zombies, this next graphic novel used to be a monthly comic book, and it was great when it was out because it's a classic series, but they printed new stories, awesome, fabulous stuff. They cut out the monthly comic and are now just doing the occasional graphic novel of all original great stuff Still fabulous to see these guys in print. It's Snoopy, What is Wrong with Dog Lips? Actually, specifically, What's Wrong with Dog Lips? And I believe that's Lucy saying that, because on the cover you've got Peanuts, you've got rather Snoopy trying to kiss Lucy, and she is not looking at all forward to it. And they're playing baseball. It's original stories, yet the artwork is the same classic artwork. And I spoke with an artist one time who does some of the art on Snoopy as well as lots of other properties. And I kind of wanted to say, how do you do this? How do you interpret a classic character? And essentially he said, I didn't want to call him a forger, because what it is, if you look at at the prints from What's Wrong with Dog Lips, it looks like the same Charles Schulz characters that he drew when he was still alive. So it's an homage, and it's fabulously done, and my hat's off to any artist that can do that can reinterpret with their slight twist, and slight twist being, when I asked him about his other artist friends, I said, can you tell when they draw a Snoopy or a Linus? He said, yeah, I could tell, but it's so subtle, and it could be just in the way the ear is kind of tweaked a little bit. This is great stuff. So parents, jump right into this. Who's going to love this? Any kid is going to love this. I remember reading Snoopy when I was 6 years old, first grade and up. In theory, the vocabulary, and this is going to be okay for any kid to read. However, kids in second grade and up will be able to read it on their own without any assistance. Any kid, any age will look at the art and love it and laugh themselves silly. It's also all color. Fabulous stuff from AMP. It is Snoopy, What's Wrong with Dog Lips? Go buy it now. Now, one of the comics that has really taken us by surprise, and how cool it is, it's, how can I best describe it? Giant robots, kids, and fun stuff. That's a horrible title that's far too wonky, so instead they called it Mech Cadet U. This was supposed to be a miniseries, but Boom Studios has upgraded it to an ongoing series. Fabulous stuff. The creators behind this was Greg Pak and Takeshi Miyazawa. Greg Pak is a cat who you may know from Hulk, from his recent interpretation of Hulk. Great that is. And Takeshi is one of the people behind Ms. Marvel, who also has an issue out this week that we'll talk about in a second. However, Mech Cadet U is an action-based robot comic book. There are so many ways to describe this. I kind of looked to my left to say, how can I describe this to people who haven't seen it? It's kind of like Pacific Rim. If you were going to make the Pacific Rim characters kids, and then make the story something that a 9-year-old would fall in love with. And that's exactly what you've got here with Mech Cadet U. Issue 3 of 4 is out. But again, as I said, this is a monthly series, so you can jump in at 3 and it's going to continue on. It's great. The art is fabulous, and it's got a very old soul. When you look at some of the panels of artwork in it, it's drawn in squares and rectangles, much the way that older comic book fans will like and love and appreciate. Check it out. It's Mech Cadet U, and I really think that you'll enjoy it. It is from Boom Studios, and it's new this week. Ragnarok comes out in theaters in a couple of weeks. Ragnarok, of course, is Thor Ragnarok, not some Norwegian horror movie, which it's sometimes mistaken for. And to kind of piggyback on that, Marvel Comics is putting out Marvel Comics Digest, number 3, Thor. This is the digest format that you often see in the supermarket checkout lines for Archie, stereotypically. This is the third one for the superhero realm from Marvel Comics. Are you with me? It's a great presentation because it's the smaller comic book that you can fit in smaller places. And it's more durable. It's thicker, too. For $7, you get a whole lot of story. Buy it through the links. Cost you $5.60. You'll get the same amount of story for less money. So you'll get less money, more story. That would have been the way I wanted to phrase that. This probably will not be for sale at your local grocery store. However, our local comic book store has all of the Marvel Comics Digests that preceded this one. I know Spider-Man was one of them. And, of course, this week has Thor coming out. Age it's going to be good for. Ages 8 and up will be okay with it. Ages 9 and up will most likely be able to follow along and read everything, because there's going to be a little more dialogue, because this is the tween version of Thor. So, I mean, whatever. Violence-wise, I would let our 7, 8-year-old read it. They may not enjoy it as much because you got to read it. Also for Marvel this week is Marvel Universe Guardians of the Galaxy, issue 23. Now, the difference between this and Thor is that this is the straight-up, all-ages comic book that is cut from the pages of the Marvel XD television series. The artwork is not going to be as harsh or as real. And I feel very silly saying that, because the artwork in Thor is not real or graphic or gratuitous. It's just a little more real than what's going on in Marvel Universe Guardians of the Galaxy. A good comparison is that I would let our 6-year-old easily read Marvel Universe Guardians of the Galaxy, whereas he would have no interest in reading the Marvel Comics Digest Thor, if that helps you at all. So it's a 2-year spread. Anyone's going to love this, and it really is great stuff, and it hits that very special price point of $2.99, which is great. It's one of the very few comics that is priced to move, and priced to mistake, too. Like, a child may buy this with their allowance money, not like it, and it's not really a big investment for them. Likewise, if you parents want to buy your kid a comic book and say maybe they'll like this, it's $2.99. You're not talking $4.99, so it's nothing out of your pocket, really. Guardians of the Galaxy Marvel Universe, issue 23, is out this week. Now, as an aside, also, Miss Marvel is out this week, and we mentioned it also because the co-creator of Mech Cadet U had done some work for Miss Marvel previously. This is a series that, if you look at the ratings on it, on the cover, it'll say rated T+, teens plus. In reality, Miss Marvel is a good comic book for ages, I'll say middle school and up, and it's really going to hit those reluctant readers. So if you've got a reluctant reader in middle school who's not keen with anything, but they want something that's cool, because Miss Marvel is one of those cool comic books. It's got street cred to it, and it's got enough kind of left-of-center vibe about it that kids know about it, but the cool kids read it. Very similar to Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, where it's like, oh, you read that? You're cool. I'm with you now. I feel you. So that's Miss Marvel. It's out this week also. Now for the upper middle school and up, this one is a great comic book, only because it's so odd and so weird. They're going to get all the jokes and be able to read it, and they are very familiar with the property from Cartoon Network. It's Adventure Time regular show. I know, you say, well, you put the two together, they're two shows. Technically, you are correct. However, this is the miniseries that combines the worlds of Adventure Time and regular show. It's very cool. It's very funny. It's a kind of a must-read for fans of regular show, since that comic book ceased production. Great one. We always preferred that to Adventure Time. Who knows why? But in this one, issue number 3, Mordecai and Finn finally team up, while Rigby and Jake go out on their own to look for something. I bet it's something that puts the universe back together, because the universe is 10 degrees of broken, and it's not cool. They're going to fix it, though. It's $3.99. It's from Boom Studios. Again, who's going to like it? Upper middle school will immediately like it. High schoolers will love it. Elementary school kids will probably be confused by it. But I like it. Adventure Time regular show. Number 3, out this week.
Thanks for listening to Daddy Mojo. Be sure to tune in next time. For more information on any of the things we talked about today, just check out the website, daddymojo.net, or hit us up at Daddy Mojo on social media.